Welcome to the Adib Kadura and Cism channel. Today we're going to be talking economics. When I tell somebody a lot of times how much my pinball machines cost, they're like, wow, that's a crazy amount of money. You want to know what a crazy stat? Our economy in Canada was costed over 80 to 100 billion dollars in mental health costs alone in the past year in 2025. Think about that. That is not a small number. So sometimes when I talk about cism and the cost upfront for cism and for training and for creating cism teams, a lot of organizations will say, wow, we don't have that kind of money. Well, could your organization save up to 30-35%? Cism programs have been proven to save between 30 and 35% to any organization that has a peer support or a cism program. Now let's take that for example. The Canadian military, $26 billion organization. That is a savings of over $8 billion. The RCMP, $6 billion. That is a savings of about $2 billion a year. Correctional Service of Canada, $4.2 billion. That's a savings of about $1.5 billion a year. These are small examples of what an upfront cost in training and supporting peer support programs, which will only cost tens of thousands of dollars, will save you billions and billions of dollars in the long run. And a lot of those costs are immediate. Last year alone, I remember a staff member who was really struggling, and we did a system intervention with them, and they were able to stay at work. If that staff member had gone off, we would have had overtime costs, WCB costs, and many other costs associated with them being off work. Now, those are big numbers. And again, we're going to talk billions of dollars. And again, I'm not that rich. Otherwise, I wouldn't be making these videos. But the big cost, the human cost, there is a human cost to this. Organizational costs, sanctuary costs, right? So let's go organizational costs for a minute. As an organization, let's talk morale. Again, this is just as of last night. I wanted to steal a cup of coffee from a friend of mine, and he hadn't been involved in an incident. And right away he goes, "You know what? I'm good." I'm like, "What happened?" He goes, "I wasn't involved in an incident. I thought you were here for cism." Right there, I was a comfort blanket. So that morale cost, that, you know what? There's people who care about me, who are there for me, who are willing to support me. That is from the organization. What about retention costs? We do not want to lose that corporate memory. Staff who are around for long periods of time are much more experienced, are much more to cause less harm to the organization, and are much better for the organization. Instead of constantly recruiting and training and those costs of sending staff to staff colleges and training them, we could retain our staff members for much longer periods of time, causing these organizations much more savings long term. And again, hundreds of millions, if not billions. And these costs upfront in training cism members are in the tens of thousands of dollars. Again, morale, less lawsuits, hurt people, hurt others. Your staff will not be hurt. Your staff will be much healthier, creating better atmosphere. You're almost to the need where your staff becomes supervisors without being in a managerial role. Now, let's go personal. Now your staff will have healthier relationships, healthier marriages, healthier relationships with their children, with their community. They are involved, they're volunteering. There's no loneliness epidemic. They are more active. They are involved in communities, in spiritual groups, in community groups. They're in sports groups because they are mentally healthy. They are not lashing out at their neighbors. They're not lashing out at small things, at the kid at the drive-through, because they are healthier themselves. And the big one, the human cost to the person that is experiencing the continuous critical incidents in a high-level organization like yourselves, right? Think about that. Suicide has become a reality in many organizations. Staff members, again, I worked in a first responder world in the 90s where mental health was not really a big thing. And I remember staff on staff assaults were a normal thing. Looking back, what was going on? These people were struggling. We just could not identify it. Now we see much less of that. So as a personal cost to people, staff are doing much better, much healthier. But going forward, we are sort of literally just scratching the surface. And we want our staff to be much more healthier, much better, again, to be kinder to themselves, to their families, to their relationships. Cism itself is a part of that continuum, and it will save marriages, will save relationships. People will live longer, they will enjoy their retirement, and morale will be higher. Organizational costs will be less. Again, is there an upfront cost? 100%. Everything has a cost, but the cost is not even peanuts. It's in the thousands of dollars, but the savings are in the billions of dollars. Those are shocking stats if you think about that. That is not 0.0001% of an organization. But again, as long as these mental health programs are supported going forward, as long as your cism teams are supported, as long as your staff members are supported, again, bottles of water. I speak of that all the time. Literally could save somebody's life. A check-in, a visit, a phone call. And again, management should be trained. Again, big question comes in. Well, who should we train in cism? Everybody. Train everybody, teach them those strategies, those techniques. How are we going to save them? Let's teach everybody first aid, right? Many years ago, how many people have died without, the Hamlet maneuver or chest compressions or CPR? Why can't we teach mental health so people are saved? So, hey, let's check in on somebody. Let's check in on Johnny because they are struggling. And how much can we move forward? I have a text message that I read almost daily to myself, and I've read it in many classes and many sessions, where the staff member says, hey, thank you for your visit a couple of years ago. I wouldn't be alive without your help today. How powerful is that? I would not be alive. Today, this young man is a father, is a husband. He is a contributing member of the community. He actually is quite the awesome volunteer. So to me, those costs, as financial as they are, the personal cost, the human cost, the community costs. Again, we continue to do these videos to encourage people. Again, doesn't matter what position you are, who you are. Mental health is health. Please take care of yourselves. Be kind to each other and to everybody else around you.